Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are talking about how I think the different pin geometries on balisongs work for flipping. So here we have a Tang pin flipper. We're comparing this guy, the Kukri Chab. Excuse me guys, sorry, it's the morning. The Orca V2. Yeah, so this is a pinsless balisong, so no pins, versus the Madco, which is obviously a Zempin balisong. Now, I may bring out like a Tsunami or something with hidden Zempins just for comparison, but essentially to get it, just get it over with. Excuse me. The Zempins versus hidden Zempins, I think it's mostly an aesthetic difference. Here's my hidden Zempin contender. I'd say in terms of the way the pins feel, perhaps I think it's a bit more of a hit or miss. With hidden Zempins, I think you can get bouncier results because you can kind of orient the Zempins in different ways. But overall, it's, in terms of how it actually affects flipping, I'd say negligible difference. So, when it comes to balisong pivot systems, now the most popular at the moment is Zempins. And that is, honestly, rightfully so. They are some of the cheapest to integrate. They're very straightforward. These are what is known as press fit Zempins, which means obviously they are simply just pressed into the handle and they are held in by tension, basically, by friction, or by glue. I know some manufacturers, like Novalis, all the products they use just kind of glue or Loctite to hold the Zempins in place. So Zempins are either they're typically held in by friction, basically, or they are just like a screw-in. You can have screw-in ones, like the one Chab. And when it comes to flipping, Zempins are what I would say the de facto standard now. They're typically quite bouncy, even without the best of tunes. I don't have something that doesn't have a great tune. And they make this beautiful sound. And I think Zempins probably have some of the nicest ice pick tests. But I will say, Zempins, when it comes to things like fans and doing like ricochets and things like this, they really do feel like they help you out a lot. And they kind of feel like they almost hinder fans, as if they are kind of anti-fan in a way. Please excuse my flipping, it's been a little while. I've been very busy, and I've not had tons of time to flip. Some of the videos you're seeing lately haven't been, it's been a little while since I recorded those. So when it comes to Zempin flipping, I do really like it. I think it feels almost like assisted flipping. Now, when you come to the previous most popular, flipping medium would have been Tang pins, which Tang pins feel much less assisted. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost as if they want to fan, and they still can get pretty good, pretty good bounciness. They certainly aren't as bouncy though. Perfect Tang pins aren't as bouncy as perfect Zempins, which is unfortunate. I mean, you're not going to be getting those kinds of results from kind of you're not going to be getting serif results, right? And this needs oil. I doubt you're getting that from Tang pins as easily as you would with Zempins. And so, sorry, this thing is a little bit scary to flip. I need to actually orient my camera slightly differently just so I can see what I'm doing. So this guy, it feels like it does less work for you when it comes to just the way the pins respond. Like ricochets, you kind of have to almost start bringing it up a little earlier. But at the same time, because it's less bouncy, it's kind of evens that out a little bit. But mostly the difference I feel is kind of in fans, where if you take it for a fan, the way the pivot kind of moves the blade, obviously from this middle point, but slightly ingressed in the blade, when it obviously hits there. And I feel like this creates a slightly more stable connection, even though you only have, two little bits of contact there. I feel like it just creates a slightly more responsive connection in terms of I feel like I can feel when the blade is about to go much sooner. And also, you know, Tang pins are slightly better for EDC. You know, they're much easier replaceable as well. But overall, I would say, you know, Tang pins feel less assisted than Zen pins. This is like a thing where you'd really just have to flip all of them side by side, but I think Tang pins are probably my preference. I do prefer Tang pins to how they flip, and I think they just kind of look kind of cool. You know, I think Tang pins look really good. I think hidden Zen pin is a fantastic also option as well, because obviously you get just the clean Balisong look. I think that's a solid idea. But then you also have the third option, which would be Pinsless. Now, Pinsless is actually not a recent development, but in terms of how it's been engineered, only recently has it taken some actual steps to be good. Now, Pinsless, obviously, as the name implied, has 0 pins. So obviously here you can see these are the Zen pins, right? These guys here. These are the Tang pins up here and here. And this guy here has... This guy's got no pins, right? So you can see it still has a Zen nipple here. And it still has like the channel slots here, obviously just for this to go in. But essentially the bounciness only comes from the Zen nipple contacting this little bit in the handle. I want to see if I can get it like nicely in focus. Field focus camera, please. Basically it hits like just in there, which leads to a very, very interesting feel. For those of you who've flipped Pinsless Ballies, you'll know. It actually feels weirdly the least assisted of them all. It's quite bizarre, actually, if I were to say. Definitely it has the most hit and miss bounciness, because the bounciness is entirely tuned to the handle milling material and geometry, and then the blade Zen pin geometry, right? But I also find that these can also get pretty bouncy. Now, I'd say the biggest difference between Pinsless and pinned is that Pinsless Ballies need a break-in period, right? So most Pinsless Ballies, for example, let's grab the Continent Original here, for example, right? Most Pinsless Ballies, this guy is not fully broken in, but he started to get broken in, and you can kind of hear it's slowly, the sound is starting to be a bit more refined, it's starting to be a bit more tactile, especially in like the ricochets, you know, like, bless you, whoever was that outside, that was a loud sneeze. I'll put this to the side. You do need a breaking period for these guys, which I quite like. I mean, it means like the Balisong kind of grows with you. And so typically I like to get the tune kind of spot on before the breaking period. So this guy's got a fantastic tune, you know. All my Balisongs do, really. But it also means that, like, for example, the handle doesn't begin to actuate anywhere near the blade until it's, like, there. Which, in theory, it shouldn't make much of a difference. And it could entirely be placebo, right? Because, I mean, technically the actuation point is about the center of the blade near the bottom, right? Even here, right, it's, you know, okay, it's slightly offset on a Zen pin design, typically, I guess on this one specifically, because you've got quite a wide Zen pin, but still, you know, that offset makes a little bit of a difference, right? You can see that the connection point is more there, whereas here it's a little bit closer to the center of the blade. Wow, okay. And I guess here, it more or less is, I think this is even closer to the center of the blade, which I think is where you get this effect of assistance, or this feel of assistance. This feels the least assisted. It feels like you have to put the most conscious decision into how it's going to flip. For example, doing a fan feels much less forgiving on a Pinsless Balisong in terms of, like, you know, if I try to sort of like very quickly, like almost too quickly engage a fan, you know, it doesn't really do much. Whereas you do it on a Pinsless Balisong, like, obviously this is also, you know, Balisong specific, but it's much harder to get it to kind of stall out. And then on a Tang pin Balisong, I think it's a little bit easier than a better Zen pin one. to stall out, I should say. But like, this is like a weird middle ground between, it's not as unassisted as this, but it's not as automatic as that. And I think this is the best test for how you feel the difference, just doing the standard fan, which is why I've been doing it a lot. I'm really trying to consolidate how I feel about these different mediums. I really do like Pinsless. In fact, you know, one of my top 3 balisongs is Pinsless at the moment, right? So my top 3 balisongs would be G10 Orca, the Serif, and the Tsunami, right? Not in that order, I think it would be Serif, Tsunami. Yeah, Serif, Tsunami, G10 Orca. But for example, you know, those two are Hidden Zen Pin, and the G10 Orca is Pinsless. And I absolutely love how the G10 Orca feels to flip. Because it's a fantastic learning tool. The G10 Orca is obviously a trainer, and it actually just flip a lot like this guy here. And there's something premium about a pinless feeling balisong. Like, they just feel nice to flip, but they are very good learning tools. I think the pinless balisongs are probably some of the best learning balisongs. And I also always like the design. I think it looks even cleaner. There's only 2 screws to worry about, no pins, no other hardwares or things like this, unless you have like weight systems. Okay, but then, you know, you compare it to something like Tang Pin, and a Tang Pin just has a distinct feel to it. It's a bit more classic, it's a little more dated. You know, some balisongs only have a bottom Tang Pin, which I find really funny. Just Tang Pin, there's something a bit nostalgic for me about Tang Pin flipping, which is why I kind of prefer it to Zen Pin. I'd say probably Tang Pin's my favourite, and then, oh, I don't know. I think the thing is, my favourite flippers have Zen Pins. Would they be better with Tang Pins? I don't know, and to be honest, I don't think so. So really, it is just a matter of preference. I think on certain types of balisongs, I have certain preferences. I think on really light balisongs, Tang Pin or Pinsless is probably my preference. On like, you know, like the kind of 100 grams weight area, you know, like G10 Orca and the Kotlin's balisong, and, you know, really light balisongs like that. I think more performance middleweight balisongs, you know, like Tsunami weight, like kind of, we're talking 110 to 120 or so. I think Zen Pins, probably that's where they shine the most, because that's where you're going to get your most competitive balisongs from, right? Like, even this guy who's on like 126 on the little weightier side, or probably 124 or something like this. I think, you know, Zen Pins definitely suit this guy the most. I don't think it would actually. Ooh, it would flip quite differently with Tang Pins. It wouldn't be as smooth flowing, because it wouldn't feel as assisted. So I think it would be interesting. So it depends on the ethos for the balisong. But for example, I think that there's like a nice middle ground. It kind of overlaps between like the kind of middle of this, kind of, you know, 115 up to, well, as heavy as you want, really. I think Tang Pins really sit in their kind of place there. And also I think Pinsless also is quite a good option there in the higher end of that, you know, kind of the 120s upwards. I think that's where the pin systems shine the most. I think that the assistance of more weight in a balisong helps counterbalance the less assistance you get from a, you know, Tang Pin balisong, for example, or a Pinsless balisong. Like this guy, you know, the weight helps counteract the lack of assistance from the pins. Here, it's like a good medium balance. Well, actually, this balisong feels almost a little too assisted sometimes. It kind of just wants to do its own thing. But you get that sound, which is phenomenal. And then you have things like, you know, Pinsless, which I really like Pinsless. I think, yeah, my favourite Pinsless balisong I've just tried so far is probably the Monarch clone. And then also, you know, my current favourite trainer, the kind of G10. I say current favourite, this thing has been a favourite for a long time. The G10 Orca. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. You know, especially, you know, when you've got good tolerances, it's lightweight, it feels fantastic to flip. It's still bouncy. You can see, like, and I'm pretty sure I can make the ice pick a bit bouncier even as well. But it just needs some oil. But yeah, even this thing, I really love this thing. It could just be a mix of the balance, but I think, you know, the Pinsless works so fantastically here. I actually think it works much better than any pins. I think a really well done Pinsless system on a plastic belly is actually better than a Tang pin. I don't think works on a plastic belly. And on a Zen pins are okay. I think Zen pins is just a bit too much engineering to get them to work properly. So I think I'd rather just a really good, well designed Pinsless belly. And I love how this has a close like a Zen pin belly, an ice pick, kind of like a Tang pin belly. If I make the tune a bit tighter, this ice pick will be much nicer. But to be honest, I don't ice pick like super often, but the ricochet, oh. So yeah, it's got like the zero assistance of a Pinsless, the close of a Zen pin, and the ice pick of a Tang pin. This is like a perfect hybrid belly for me, but that's obviously just my personal preference. I think of the systems, which one do I think is best? Probably for your average flipper, Zen pins, and for your competitive flipper, Zen pins. So I think the other ones are simply just more fun. I think there are some really well executed Tang pin flippers like Alpha Beasts, Sentinels, the T7 Works' stuff, right? I think those are really well executed, but I think you can't go wrong with Zen pins. They are very easy to install. They do sound good. And you get the, oh, excuse me guys, you get some of the nicest sounds. And so, I have to say, yeah, Zen pins unfortunately is the crowned winner. Although I prefer how Tang pins feel to flip. And I think that, you know, this guy is really winning me over on the Pinsless game. So that goes for my comparison between the 3 different pin systems. Let me know your comments down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. I mean, what's your favorite pin system? You know, what do you think of all the different various, pin systems that you can find on Balisongs? You know, this, for example, is the Zen pin flipper, and I think this would be really weird if it were on Tang pins. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.